Hello everybody, welcome to the Daily Sip. My name is Oliver. My mission is to bring you closer to organic Japanese green tea, and today we're gonna dive into strainer preparation versus kyusu teapot preparation. So today what we want to dive into is that we want to see or compare the preparation with the strainer and what actually the flavor profile of Japanese green tea is like when you do it with this strainer versus the kyusu teapot, and see a little bit what the taste difference is. So I really want to dive into the taste notes of a certain tea. Today I brought a Samidori tea with me. It's an unshaded Samidori tea in the region of Kyoto. So this tea, organically grown, non-certified tea, which I will taste and compare with which strainer actually, which notes do I get, and is there a difference, and is there maybe one strainer giving a certain taste profile, pushing a certain flavor which is maybe better than the other one, or is there definitely one type of brewing which is better. So for this, what do I need? I definitely need the tea. So let's have a look at the tea first. In the center of attention of today's video. So this is a sencha which is grown around 100 meters above sea level, so quite close to sea level. It's a non-shaded tea. Actually, it's a very beautiful unshaded tea. So when you have a look at it, it's quite dark in its leaves. So I guess the area of this tea is quite shade, kind of natural shading is something which you see quite decently where this tea is grown. So you can see there are quite dark colors to the leaves. I would even say this is a very, very strong, naturally shade grown tea. So it must be an area where there's not a lot of light touching the leaves. This is due to the fact that these leaves are very, very dark for a natural unshaded or non-shade grown tea. So what does it mean when a tea is shaded? For the ones who might have never heard this expression, in Japanese green tea, actually what they found in the 18th century, what they found out by protecting the tea leaves from the cold kind of spring nights, they protected the leaves and covered them, and through the cover actually less of the sunlight was touching the tea leaves, and thus the tea taste became more sweet and less astringent. And that's a little bit how this shade grown and umami rich tea flavor was born. And this is actually the tea flavor that, if we are in the realm of Japanese green tea, gives it its unique, very, very unique and differentiating taste profile versus other teas or green teas out there. So here we are using 5 grams, and this we'll definitely use with the kyusu teapot. So what did we bring? We brought a normal kyusu teapot. There's a small metal strainer in the front, so you can see there's the metal strainer. So this is the one I will be using today. And then definitely second is this strainer which I just bought in the supermarket. So when we have a look at it, it's actually closing quite well. So these are quite strong strainers. This is good. So it really packs the leaf well together, and also gives a little bit of space for them to unfold. Good. So what we do first, we fill the teapot with the tea leaves, and then we're gonna fill the strainer. So I bought a teaspoon. You can also use a normal spoon. Maybe I use this today, and I leave aside the teaspoon, which is a little bit easier as it's kind of has the same shape than my strainer. So I just let's pack it here. So I have it in here, and then I'm just gonna fill the strainer well. So this is enough. So we can see we can fill quite well. We can close it, and then actually the tea leaves, they don't fall out. So very beautiful, easy to prepare. So you can see here we already have the tea prepared here as well. Then let's put a little bit the leaves aside, Unfortunately, a little bit more messy, but you can do it over the tea pack, and then the leaves will fall back into the pack. And what we will do is we actually use the same amount of water. So we're going to fill up my cups. Here, these cups are around 150 ml, which I think is around 7 to 8 ounces. And then we're just going to drop this in this strainer. We're just going to drop it in, and then we're just going to leave it for a minute. We do the same with the kyusu teapot. We just fill it with water, and then we're just going to leave this as well for a minute. So what happens actually in the process of the brewing? So the tea leaves will start to open up, because in Japan the tea leaves are often tightly rolled. Very tightly rolled are especially gyokuro, so the highest quality green tea in Japan. And when we are looking into sencha, you can find some unrolled senchas, a little bit lower grade, lower quality senchas, and on the other hand you have a little bit tighter rolled. This is a typical tea which you have seen before. The needles, they're a little bit tighter rolled, so a very, very high quality and beautiful tea. And I was quite impressed due to the fact that Mr. Takada told us that this is an unshaded tea, how dark the leaves actually are. So I was really impressed by this. But Samidori in general has this very sweet round flavor profile. It's quite rich in umami, so it's one of the umami richest tea plants. So Samidori definitely worth exploring if you're interested in a stronger umami note. And now I think we're already there. So we're going to use the plate with this strainer. We're just going to drop it. Good. And we do the same. Good. So when we look at the brewing's already one very, very big difference between the two. So I just put them here. You can see how beautiful, kind of not cloudy this tea is, and here we are nearly talking about a little bit of a milky tea. So quite impressive in terms of difference between these two. So I showed also here in the camera. So you see here really clean, kind of non-cloudy tea, and here much more cloudy tea. Well, so now the question, what is better? Normally when the tea is more cloudy, it's often a sign that there's a lot of, or there are actually a lot of amino acid present. So amino acids, they have kind of two different kind of aspects. So on the one hand, they reduce the astringency. So when you have a tea which is rich in amino acids, especially L-theanine, this L-theanine actually reduces the astringency and gives it much more of a sweeter note. So when I look just at these two glasses, I'm expecting that the one coming from the kyusu gives a little bit more of a sweeter, maybe a umami rich, a little bit stronger in the savory sweet flavor profile. Here I'm expecting a little bit of a lighter tea. And what is also good about the extraction of the L-theanine, it actually breaks through the blood-brain barrier, triggers the alpha brain waves, and gives you this calm feeling which green tea actually gives you. Together with the caffeine, which is in the tea, then you have kind of this awakened but focused, calm state. And this is something people who are especially going a little bit from coffee into the green tea world, this is the main difference, that you just have this additional calmness which comes with the drinking of the tea. But I don't want to go too much into that detail. Let's stick with the tea. So let's maybe have a first look at the leaves. So when we look at the teapot, we can see the leaves, they have nicely opened. They are not fully open, so they will, over the next 2 to 3 brewings, we'll have beautiful kind of unfurled tea leaves. Here with this camera we don't see it so much, but here actually you have very beautiful tea. Maybe I can just take out the leaves, and then you can look at it a little bit closer, so you see a little bit kind of unrolled, but not completely, still a little bit kind of slightly rolled, slightly twisted, the tea leaves. Now we have a look at the strainer. So we open up the strainer, and we already see here a little bit more difficult. They're cramped together more. I don't want to take it out yet from the bowl, but maybe I can just lift it up. So you really see that these are really packed together. Meanwhile, with the kyusu teapot, you could see that they are really used the space here. They kind of seem quite strongly put together, pushed together, so they could not really unfold. They already used up all the space. You can see it really has the form of the strainer. Maybe I do it from this side. So you can really see it already used up all the space. And this is actually what also a main difference is of a bigger strainer or maybe a French press and the kyusu teapot. It really leaves the tea more space to open, meaning that there are actually more taste notes going into the flavor of your water you're brewing it with. So I'm expecting to have a stronger tasting tea with this one here, and here a lighter tasting tea. But let's go directly into the taste notes of each tea. What is quite impressive, personally, when you drink samidori, I'm not too much of a too strong umami flavor fan. And what I already realized is when samidori is not shaded, it has these beautiful, sweet and direct fruity notes without going too much in this super strong savory flavor profile. So I'm getting here a little bit of papaya, mango, nearly a little bit of pineapple, and I have this a little bit banana peel, and in the same time a little bit of a nutty flavor profile. And this is something I'm realizing more and more, that especially the umami rich teas and the teas which are higher in amino acids, is it the samidori or is it the nokomidori, for example, in comparison to a yabukita, which is kind of the main cultivar or main tea type which is drunk in terms of green tea type plant. There we have much more smoother, rounder, sweeter, and also I get much more of this kind of underlying nutty tones from the tea itself. So here there's a little bit this salty, savory flavor profile, but it's so fast turning into this beautiful sweet note that it's not disturbing. Often when I hear or I look also on all the videos on YouTube when people explain the taste of this a little bit, sometimes called brothy flavor profile, it really turns fast in this sweetness, and it's super nice and decent, and then it stays in this sweet realm, kind of sweet area, and then brings out these fruity notes and a little bit of this nutty flavor profiles. So very nice in terms of the samidori unshaded. It's actually a much better tea than, for example, for myself, than a shaded samidori, which is then really pushing this savory kind of nearly kind of too heavy and too intense taste notes, and doesn't leave that nice space for this a little bit lighter fruit notes or this lighter nutty notes, in my opinion. But that's taste, and taste is always very personal. Then we go into the strainer brewed. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I should have done the other way around. So here we have a very, very light tea. It gives a little bit a hint of certain notes, but it's very weak in comparison to what we have experienced here, or what I've experienced here with. So clearly, you need the space. So when you have a strainer like this, maybe for black tea these are not so bad, or infusions it might be a good idea. But for Japanese tea, which is really rolled additionally, so it doesn't need an enormous kind of amount of space to really unfold its flavor profile. Here we definitely have a weakness. It gives the tea a very flat aroma. Let's see what I can get. It's lighter. There's a slight cereal note, but it's kind of very, unfortunately, it's very flat. So there are some kind of nice, decent sweeter notes. I get a little bit of a sweet corn note. Get a little bit kind of a fruity notes, but it's very light. It's super hard. I get a little bit of, so maybe a little bit of mango. That's more kind of going into the green grape area. So it's light, it's decent, but unfortunately, if you compare it to this one, it really doesn't extract the full flavor. But we are not here to only judge one brewing. It's very full body. It's also the kind of the water seems more dense, just flavor richer. In general, just richer when you brew it with this method. So let's go to the second brewing. 20 seconds is enough. Oh, I hope I used the same amount. No, I didn't measure it. Let's do the same. And voila. 20 seconds. Very short, and we just gonna. Good. I think I used quite a similar amount of water. I have to get out everything. Here, maybe swirl it a little bit. Don't swirl it too much. Green tea gets astringent when you kind of swirl it too much. The fact is that you start to release the catechins if you kind of hit the leaves, or you kind of are a little bit tougher to them, then they start to release the more astringent flavor profile. That's why I can kind of shake this strainer in the glass. Same, so we get the same picture again here with this camera. Here quite a light kind of light liquid, and here again this super dense, a little bit more milky tone, so quite interesting in terms of the aspect. I expect the same, so let's start with the lighter one now. That's just not bringing out the taste. Yeah, there's a light. It even gets lighter now in the second brewing. So normally the second brewing is really a decent brewing, a very beautiful round brewing, giving a little bit more space to normal greener notes. So in the second brewing you also have a little bit of fresh notes coming out, especially when the tea is unshaded. So expecting it to a little bit move into this more kind of a little bit more greener area, maybe edamame, spinachy. But here it's super flat, unfortunately, really not making the deal. So definitely this one here will taste better, but let's see how it tastes. It's nice. It actually freshens up a little bit, so there's a slight kind of citrusy note. Normally when you have a lot of citrusy note, then it turns to go, or kind of starts to go into astringency. Here we have just a light tingling, so very beautiful in terms of a light freshness. It doesn't show too much of these spinachy tones. It gives a little bit of an edamame note into it. And what especially is strong now is also this nutty note. So I get a very strong cashew note out of it. Very beautiful. Still the tea water quite dense, quite full, quite rich. So definitely the teapot the better option, and we can see that the leaves really start to unfold. So can you see how much space there's needed. I used a little bit more leaves with the kyusu teapot because I just cannot bring so much into this strainer, but let's maybe just pop it out, let us have a look, and let us take it apart. So when I'm just opening this up, we really can see, unfortunately, the tea leaves are not at all able to unfold. So here, unfortunately, really pushing back the flavor and not letting the tea release all its potential. So definitely, then when you have the possibility, if you don't want to have a teapot because you say to yourself, okay, it's not worth the investment for the times I drink tea, or for now I'm fine with the strainer, try to find a strainer which is a little bit bigger, like this one here. Or another option is, for example, that you go for a French press. This is also something which was quite decent, but this size of filter, also strainer, is definitely too small. Doesn't leave the tea too much space to really unfold and really show its full potential. So definitely here the winner is the kyusu teapot. I couldn't get too much positivity. Maybe if you like a very light tea, then this strainer could be something, but then better buy a lighter and not so intense or kind of taste intense tea. But definitely here for Japanese green tea, especially when you go a little bit in the higher quality, it's worth to have a bigger strainer, more space for the leaves. Another option, what you can do as well, is, for example, that you use a glass, you put the leaves in, and then you take a strainer and you pour the water into the glass through the strainer, and then that's how you filter the leaves out. Good, I hope you like this one here. Thanks a lot for watching. I wish you a great day, and as always, just leave a comment if you have a question. We'll try to answer it. See you, and bye-bye.